to the Global MEGAFist 12. This is the world's only amateur MMA tournament taking place on a moving riverboat that is not supposed to be moving, but it is in fact moving and has been since at least March or April. But what is time at this point? It is episode 15. That is the only way we can tell time at this point. It is episode 15. The lightweights are in action tonight. My name is Derek Osceola. I'm joined, as always, by Lucille Crambleford, who is here, whether she would like me or not, because we're stuck on this boat, and we have been for going on. I decided at an early point that I would not scratch marks on the wall to keep track of it, and I'm glad for that.
Yeah, Derek, it's been a long time. I thought this journey might be coming to an end soon, but I can't be sure of that. It's just an unending torment of time in a room, and then sometimes there's fights. And this is one of those times where there's fights, so I've got that going for me.
Well, the torment only is going to be inside of an octagonal-like structure, as that is what we are bringing to you this evening here on the Atsa Paddlin', our beloved and maligned river boat. And we have quite the evening for you this time around. It is episode 15. It is the final group stage battle in our in this year's tournament. We are very close to reaching the conclusion. We will know who the semifinalists, the 4 fighters, 2 from each group, that will move on after tonight's fights. And we are actually talking about one of these fights, Miroslav Florislava taking on Ruben Fondant. That, of course, is not our main event, but that is going to be, I think, the fight. Deciding the fight card has split the fights. We're going to get all 3 Group A fights first, and then all 3 Group B fights, and we'll explain why that is in just a few. But this is really a battle of 2 opposite ends of the spectrum, isn't it, Lucille? Miroslav Florislava, 3-1, went undefeated until losing in the knockout round last year. Ruben Fondant, this is truly the last chance for him to stay afloat. He got a much needed win in this exact episode last year. He'll need to pull out quite an upset tonight.
Absolutely, Derek. I mean, as you said, Miroslav Florislava last year, a heavy favorite to win it all. Didn't quite get the job done. He's poised and ready to, move on to the next, to the semifinal stage, with a good showing here. Ruben Fondant just clinging to dear life, clinging to the hope, the dream that maybe he won't be relegated to the Hyperfist if he can win, if all the other cards come up right for him. But it's going to be a tough fight, because Miroslav Florislava is a scary opponent for anyone.
It sure is. And of course, talking about other difficult opponents, we have a battle between 2 fighters who very well, with the right result, can find themselves up and in the second place spot. That is what this battle is for. Zeke Apnea, Trevor Serradio, both fighters at 2-2. Both fighters riding a good amount of momentum this tournament. They will be battling for that spot. And of course, Cale Howard, who is currently sitting at 1-3 in 5th place, faces the only undefeated fighter left here in the lightweight division, Walter Birch. He's a newcomer. He has already booked himself a spot in the semifinals. He is guaranteed he will win this group. But we've both talked about how impressive Walter Birch in a debut has been.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Pretty much all the guys from the Hyperfist have looked very impressive in this inaugural 2020 season for them in more tested competition. But Walter Birch especially, 4-0. We see that record right there. He has been very dominant against Global MEGAFist opponents, and Cale Howard is going to have to dig deep if he wants to put a blemish on Birch's record tonight.
Yeah, and just so you can see how it pans out, the top 2 in the standings, We'll move on to the semifinals. Walter Birch has assured himself of that spot. We will explain the math behind that if you are new to that in just a few. But you can see that there are chances for fighters in second, third, and fourth all battling for that spot, and 3 versus 4 are facing each other, whereas Ruben Fondant will need some help from Birch. In order to save himself, he will also need to do quite a bit as well. And we'll move on to the other side of the group, our main event tonight. Charlie Valentine and the Goblin Rob Lynn. Rob Lynn is quite the competitor, made his way to the semifinals last season. This will be the first time these two will have met. Charlie Valentine just missed out on a tiebreaker from being in the semifinals. He is in prime position to do it tonight, but this is an important fight for both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's sometimes, as we saw in the other side of the lightweight division, sometimes the last fight of the regular season, not a lot going on for one side or the other. But this one, both guys 3-1, both looking for a big, impressive win to close out the regular season, as it were, and move on to the next round with some big momentum by defeating another tough opponent.
Yeah, and here is why there is so much to still fight for in this final fight. There is a third competitor at 3-1. It is JC Switcher, our defending lightweight champion. He won the tournament in 2019. He's got a tough customer in McGinnis Swordhouse, who is fighting to avoid relegation as well. And the reason for that is that Rear Sergeant Val Gibbs, sitting at 0-4, similar to Ruben Fondant, is only one victory away potentially from saving himself from relegation. He's got Deputy Snooter Magnum, who I believe, well, we'd need a certain amount of results. It's not completely out of the question mathematically, but it's a very, very long shot for Deputy Snooter Magnum to make his way into that second place spot. He would need to win in a first round sort of way and hope for other results to go his way. But as we can see, Lucille, this is one of those things where this is as close as it can get. Look at that top 3. Same records, very close in points. Nobody is safe with the way these break out. If JC Switcher wins and he finishes his opponent in a quick succession, and Rob Lynn finishes his fight, Valentine goes from first to on his way out, just like he did last year.
Yeah, it's going to be a shame that one of Valentine, Switcher, or Lynn are not going to make it. That's just the way the Global Megafist plays out. But I've seen some of the corkboard diagrams and the string connecting to show the results that need to happen for certain people to make it to the next round. It is very confusing, but it's fun to look at. It distracts me from the monotony on the Axapadlin. So we'll get into necessary results, point standings, all that as we come along to it. But just for all the fans out there, these are going to be some outstanding fights. Valentine, Switcher, Lynn. I mean, these guys have been fighting hard all year long, and like I said, it's going to be a great one for the last fight of some people's regular seasons.
It sure has. And just a reminder for anyone who might be new, or if you need the reminder, all of our fights tonight are amateur MMA, which means the 3 rounds of 150 seconds or 2.5 minutes each. A 10-point must scoring system is in effect. The round winner gets 10 points, his opponent 9 or less. No to the groin, no hitting the back of the head, and as always, it's amateur MMA, so no one gets paid. And if any of our fights do go to a decision, the judges score the fight based on aggression, damage, control, and pistols drawn at dawn, with the best artist rendering of a pistol wins. So that will be our fights. And again, if all this is still confusing to you, we have a nice little explainer video for you, and here it is right now.
The Global MEGAFist 12 is a grueling competition like nothing ever seen before in mixed martial arts. First, the 12 fighters are drawn at random into 2 groups of 6 fighters each. Each fighter will face off against the other 5 in their group. A win is worth 3 points, while a draw is worth 1. In addition, Bonus points are awarded for how fast a fight is won. Winning in the third round is worth 4 total points, a second round win is worth 5, and finishing a fight in the first round gets you 6 points in all. After all 5 rounds of competition, the 2 fighters who finish in last place are relegated from Global MEGAFist 12 and must earn their way back in next season. They will be replaced by 2 fighters from the HyperFist qualifying tournament. The 2 fifth-place fighters will be matched up against 2 more fighters from the HyperFist qualifiers, with the winners earning their spot in next season's Global MEGAFist 12. The top 2 fighters from each group advance to the semifinals, where the first-place fighter from each group will take on the second-place fighter from the other. The winners of these fights will do battle for the championship. It all comes down to one thing: win, and win fast. And the title of Global MEGAFist 12 champion awaits.
And as you think it's not as clear as that, then there you have it. But we are getting ready to go with our first fight of the evening: Cale Howard versus Walter Birch. Here we go for our first contest. Tail of the tape, Walter Birch has the advantage in both height and reach. Love language again. I guess a fur talking to is kind of like communication. Veganism, I guess it's like sharing similar. I told myself today, Lucille, that I would try to at least make some sense of it. I've already thought about giving up on that.
Yeah, it's, you know, the fans at home might be, you know, a little annoyed. We seem to not have open minds about some of these fighters and the tail of the tape, I guess, tidbits at the end. But you do have to understand, we've been on this boat with these people for months, and this kind of stuff is basically all they ever want to talk about. I've talked to Walter Birch. He seems to have no other interest than disciplining children. Doesn't watch movies, doesn't read books, doesn't listen to music. Just he reads manuals on disciplinary techniques. That's it.
That's I didn't realize there were that many that warrant a
I mean, I guess he's a student of history because he does quote what, you know, they did in ancient Sparta and Macedonia and things of that nature. But big shots from Birch.
Lands a right hand and is just hammering away. Cale Howard is scrambling. Again, Cale Howard at 5th place at 5 points. He is out of the contention for the playoffs. for the semifinals. Walter Birch, of course, already booked his spot, already will be the top seed from Group A. He is hammering away with a minute to go. Cale Howard has to survive for a minute. Cale Howard's concern right now is goes for a guillotine.
He's looking for that guillotine from bottom. See if he can log it up on Birch.
If nothing else, it has bought him some time.
Yeah, definitely clear those cobwebs from those big shots that Birch was laying down.
Yeah, he goes for a triangle, so again, just switching immediately. Howard's best case scenario is getting the upset win and putting himself out of 5th place and avoiding that playoff, that fight for survival on the finale show. At worst case, well, if he loses, then it puts an opportunity in the hands of Ruben Fondant as Birch is, you don't want to say he's playing with his food. He's honestly trying to finish this fight with just no mercy, but Howard is scrappy. He is really putting an effort out there. He has survived one hell of a round. You might want to say 10-8 if you are a judge, but that also means that you think this is going to a decision.
Hey, that's close. You don't sit there and judge it.
Yeah,
Right?
it's,
You go out there and just keep
it's
fighting
a
hard.
lot of domination from Birch. Brief moments of
combination with a kick.
free from
You listen
Cale
to me?
Howard to
Finish
not
every
get
combination with a
finished,
kick. Keep the
but
right kick
he
on.
was in danger multiple times in that first round.
You got this fight. You win this round, you got this
Is
fight. Okay.
an absolute
Beat his ass.
animal inside that cage. He just knows how to, well, lack of a better way, discipline his opponents. He's got 2 wins in the first round, 2 wins in the second round for a total 22 of a possible 24 points in the group stage, and he's won by both TKO and submission. He is proven lethal any way he can be.
And I don't want to, have any kind of commentators curse.
All you need to do is score.
We saw last week through Ezekiel Subset Alpha, he was cruising undefeated, had racked up nearly the maximum number of points, and he got submitted in the first round. Birch has to be careful not to get a little too comfortable out there and end up losing that perfect record in his final fight as we saw last week.
100%, and again, it would just kill any sort of momentum going into the final. Walter Birch, again, we can say this because we already know he has solidified his spot. He has clinched it. Oh, drop! I thought he was going to drop him with that big right hand. The left hook drops him. This has got to be it.
Big barrage. He hurt him up top. He ripped to the body, which a lot of fighters, even pro fighters, don't do. They just headhunt, but he hit those shots to the body, made Howard drop his hands, and came over the top again with just some devastating punches.
That is the mark of a true professional. A second round victory via TKO from Walter Birch. And he goes into the semifinals with momentum, having yet to lose in the year 2020. For Cale Howard, well, the best he can hope for is staying in 5th place. That will do it. Everything is out of his control at this moment. Doesn't say anything more for the group, but Walter Birch, I think this is one that had the fewest stakes. Walter Birch was already in first place. I can tell you right now, Lucille, this is an interesting statistic. Actually, I'll wait till our next fight starts to let you know this one. But coming up in just a moment, our next battle, Zeke Apnea, Trevor Sereno are doing battle right this moment. these two. A 1-inch reach advantage for Trevor Serrano. Everything else is virtually the exact same statistic. Except for their love languages. Their love languages, I don't know what he means by tagging turf. But,
Are you ready?
I mean, maybe
Let's go, guys. Fight.
Community art projects. Yeah, I don't know.
3 outside.
Naps together. I mean, that's a normal thing people do.
yeah.
Nice body kick.
That's the best we can that's the best we can offer these days, I suppose.
Little things.
That's all I really have for that. But what we do have is that these are two fighters within 1 point of one another. They are in fact both sitting in 3rd and 4th place respectively. Apnea at 2-2 with 10 points. Serrano 2-2 with 9. They're both looking to get a victory and a quick one because Miroslav Florislava, who will fight in the next fight, is 3-1 with 14 points. And they will not only hope that he loses, but they will need to just outpoint him today. These two have done battle before, and it was a quick fight, but it was their very first fight in all of Global MEGAFist 12. Trevor Serrano got a first-round TKO victory over Zeke Apnea in the first fight of the group stage last year. That is so much time in between now and then, so many fights between now and then.
There you go, nice.
I truly don't want to think about how much time has passed since that fight to this one. It might make me cry.
That's fair. I try to keep my crying until the microphones are off. That being said, neither fighter in danger of dropping below 4th place.
Perfect work.
But an outside shot, I think, is the best way to really put it for these two. But a shot nonetheless. But they need to make quick work of it.
Absolutely, Derek. I mean, it's a cliched expression, but anything truly can happen in MMA. As Serrano lands a big knee from that clinch, Apnea is looking in trouble.
And you know, that seems to be kind of the way. That seems to be kind of the way that I think Serrano would have. His younger self, his less experienced self, would have just swarmed in and let themselves wide open. I think there's a little bit more respect for Apnea, knowing, now that this is a guy who can pull out a big win when he needs to. Apnea has taken 2 wins. He's lost his last 2 fights, but he started off this tournament very strongly with wins over Cale Howard and Ruben Fondant, which again, on the records, doesn't look that great. But it's still, you win what you're supposed. If you're supposed to win and you win,
Got to keep those.
that's really all that can be asked of you, because you can always hope to get some upset in the meantime.
In 3-2.
Serrano, Serrano has. Serrano's wins are against the same too. So again, this is truly the rubber match.
I need you to circle left and stay aggressive.
Yeah, absolutely. And Apnea,
get that leg kick going.
He had a rough start last year. He started to put it together as we've both theorized. Getting fully knocked out late last season has kind of reset his batteries, his everything, as it were. And he finished out last season pretty well. He started this season pretty well, but it's kind of gone back down. He might still be, or he might be suffering from insomnia again.
Hey, 5 minutes of hell, tighten your punches up. The uppercut is there all day, but you got.
He's a bit of a troubled individual, Zeke Apnea.
And that's spoken in comparison to the rest of the folks on this ship. I did want to mention, as we were starting out round 2, Serrano in the dark blue, what he refers to as his colors. Literally, as it says, Apnea is in his jammies. Those are the boxer shorts he sleeps in. Because when you lack sleep that much, you are really willing to do anything, and he wanders around. As I think many of us can really speak to that truth of wandering around in your pajamas all day. I can relate to that. I understand it. But I did want to mention, Lucille, an interesting tidbit. We were talking about Walter Birch and how strong these hyperfist fighters are doing. We knew that about Walter Birch already before tonight. We still don't know necessarily about Deputy Scooter Magnum. Walter Birch has made it from the hyperfist in his debut to the semifinals. 4 out of the 5 Hyperfist fighters so far have made their way out of the group stage and into the semifinals. Both for Ezekiel Subset Alpha and Ed Picayune out of the middleweights, and Jeff Perkins comes out of the heavyweight division into the semifinals. So these new fighters aren't just also-rans. They're not just fodder. They are dangerous fighters.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's you know, it's really impressive what they've been able to do. You know, and we're going to see some more of the Hyperfist action a little later on to see who's going to, you know, take some spots next season, next year. All of these guys in the Hyperfist have looked really solid, and a lot of it's against, you know, the people who were relegated at the end of 2019. So, you know, it's some known quantities of fighters that they have looked pretty good against. So I look forward to who's going to join us next year. Going to miss the guys who are going to get relegated, of course, but it's always good to have new blood in the mix.
Of course, and for those that do get relegated, they are automatically allowed to compete in the Hyperfist should they choose to, of course. Then again, you know, when we're kind of stuck on this ship, there's really no other option. It's not like there's a home to go to at the present time. Don't want to think about that as we end round 2 and go to a third round at this time. This means 4 points are up in the air, which would effectively... Yes, I believe this would effectively rule out either fighter from advancing. So they are battling for third place and for pride at this point.
Give me the deep breaths, man. You're looking good.
And
okay,
yeah,
go ahead. Sorry.
No, Bill, please, no, go right ahead.
I was just gonna say it's a bit of an issue. You hear that sometimes with you know, certain sports teams where the divisional opponents are tough. Everyone beats each other up, and no real threat emerges. These guys beat each other up too much to get enough points to jump ahead.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
In the point standing, which is unfortunate because this has been a really good fight.
It really has, and again, Trevor Sereno made it to the finals last year, and losing to JC Switcher, he pulled off an upset over Miroslav Florislava, a fighter that he had trouble defeating. I believe it was Florislava that he defeated. Yes, it was. He had a victory over Florislava in last year's tournament. A fighter he could not defeat this year. Florislava got the third round knockout in the very first fight of this tournament. Big takedown for Sereno. Again, you know, these two will finish third and fourth. Just in what order, we do not know. That is the outcome of this fight. But just again to explain what's going on, Sereno, even if either fighter wins here in the third round, the winner will get 4 points. Sereno will be at 13, not enough to beat Florislava at 14. Apnea would be at 14, tied, but on the tiebreaker, which is head-to-head, Florislava would win because Florislava beat Apnea earlier this year. I believe that was actually in our most recent episode, the most recent fight. Florislava had a TKO victory in the first round, but Sereno letting up Apnea. Interesting strategy. I think just maybe the thrill of taking this. Oh, nice kick to the...
Come on, pummel inside.
I didn't expect it went so fast that it just kind of reached up and caught Sereno up in the face.
Yeah, Apnea's showing ever-improving skills each time out. I mean, everyone is to an extent, but you know, some guys are certainly picking up on things a lot quicker. But big uppercut from Sereno.
Using that, just again, he landed the. This is again. This harkens back to the first round where he landed a knee and didn't follow up. I think Sereno used it and just followed up on it, and he's swarming and he is stifling and landing more ground and pound. He is just hurting.
Stop. Fight's over, guys.
And it is finally over. Well, a third place finish in the group and a 3-2 record is absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. It's a very valiant effort, but ultimately Trevor Sereno will fall short of the semifinals this year. But he goes out with a big win to end his 2020 by TKOing Zeke Apnea, who maybe will at least hope for enough bloodlust that he'll pass out and get some Z's.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Mr. Apnick, he still has not cracked the Trevor Sereno code. It is now 0-2 lifetime against the high school guidance counselor. So maybe he can rethink some things for 2021. Develop a new plan if they have to get matched up in the same.
That'll be interesting to see. It'll be very interesting to see. But Sereno is our victor. So much more to come. We're going to close out the book. So now we know that Florislava and Walter Birch have moved on to the semifinals. We've been talking about relegation. We don't know anyone who is officially relegated yet here in Global MEGAFist 12 from this division, but we will know 2 fighters that will be joining the group stage in 2021. I think we're ready to find out who one of those 2 will be. It's happening right now. These first 2 fights are elimination brackets. We'll explain that when we see the bracket towards the end. Ernest Caldwell has gone 1-1. Coming off a win. He's taking on Cody Barrett. Barrett, the bodybuilder, told to get a real job, and I guess he chose MMA as the real job. Ernest Caldwell, of course, the would-be explorer.
Nice. That's it. It's over.
Got a huge knockout. He explored Barrett's face with his fist. He moves on, and Barrett is eliminated. 2 familiar faces on the other side of that battle. Lenny Scaffold,
Way to work.
of course, our professional window washer with the fear of heights. Of course, is not great. Taking on, you remember Burr Wintergreen from last year's tournament. He's a fitness buff, elderly guy at the gym. You always see.
45
this
seconds.
one went
Beautiful.
all the way to
Ken
round
Marshall, Ken
3.
Marshall.
It was a winner. This is the fight, Lucille. This is the fight to determine who will make it into the Global MEGAFist 12.
Let's go, guys. Fight.
Brand new faces.
Circle around.
Harvey Murkoff,
Hands up.
who is the mechanical consultant versus valued shopper, Forrest Chip
Push forward. Don't
who has a
retreat.
memorial bench outside many of the stores where he is a valued
Beautiful.
shopper. He sits on the bench all day long until he goes shopping, and then he returns to his bench. I assume he brings the groceries home, but what he did do is show a very impressive...
All right, stop. Fight's over, guys.
So Chip Crocker, well, age has nothing to do with it, as it would seem. Crocker makes his way into the Global MEGAFist 12 next year. Harvey Murkoff, he faces the winner between Cargo and Scaffold. To battle at the finale in the fight for survival. Lucille, we've been seeing some really impressive talent come out of this Hyperfist.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see, where everyone gets matched up as the divisions get reshuffled for next year. Crocker, he looks impressive. I am really going to be looking forward to him next year to see how well his grappling skills play off against everyone in the division that manages to stick around.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of submission victories. He won all 3 of his fights via submission this year in the Hyperfist. 3 wins in a row, all by submission.
Yeah, we're seeing that in other weight classes as well. We mentioned 3 Ezekiel subset alpha. He's one of the top submission guys, probably in all of Global MEGAFist.
Yeah.
But it's we're seeing ebbs and flows. Sometimes it's one division is completely overrun by kickboxers who are just knocking out people who can't quite get the fight where they want it to go, and then sometimes you got a guy like Ezekiel or even Picayune, who's also skilled on the ground, and it's interesting just to see how each division breaks down in terms of skills and weaknesses.
No doubt about that. Right now, we are going back to the Global MEGAFist 12 group stage. We are closing out Group A with Ruben Fondant and Miroslav Florislava. Florislava has already made his way into the semifinals for 2 years running. Ruben Fondant trying to make it 2 years running and fight for his survival. That fight is happening right now. Take for this, our third fight of the evening, Fondant and Florislava. Miroslav Florislava, the asbestos-covered fire safety enthusiast, taking on Ruben Fondant, the downtrodden master of cake decoration, who has to sit and watch as his creations are destroyed before his very eyes.
Are you ready? Let's fight!
Tragedy of sorts, but here is how it goes. For Miroslav Florislava, he has already solidified himself in second place. That will not change, win or lose. He is going to the semifinals as the second place fighter from Group A for Ruben Fondant. He needs to win in the first round to force a fight at the finale in a fight for survival. If he does not win or lose, he needs to win in the first round. If he does not, anything short of that, Cale Howard will go to that survival fight, and Fondant will be relegated to the Hyperfist. So not out of the woods entirely, but at least gives himself a chance at survival.
Throw that left right down the middle.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a tough task on both ends of the coin. For Ruben Fondant, for asking him to win a fight, especially early, is tough, and then to ask that against Miroslav Florislava to try and finish him in the first round. That's a pair of tough asks for a man like Ruben Fondant.
There are also two weird things that are kind of working against one another. So we have history here where Florislava in the very first Global MEGAFist 12 round of 2019, Florislava defeated Fondant in the first round. However, Fondant has gotten a first round TKO victory in the last fight, fighting for survival. So he's done this before, but he has not done it against a man like Miroslav Florislava. It's two interesting statistics that kind of butt heads at this point.
Stand in the middle, let him come and fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bigger combo when you hit him.
God, Florislava he's almost fighting like a man who needs a first round finish, because he is just,
Yeah. Oh, they throw something at the same time! Looks like Fondant got him!
Oh my gosh!
It's
He
over.
caught him! He did it! Oh my god, he did it!
Unbelievable! Well, the cake is still... It's no lie, the cake is actually the truth. And Ruben Von Daunt scores a huge upset.
My god, they both traded hooks and Ruben landed first, he landed cleaner, he landed stronger. I think Florislava was just overconfident. I mean, he was getting really aggressive and he opened himself up, and I guess that's the way the cookie remains uncrumbled.
Yeah, but wow.
Otherwise it would depress Ruben too much if the cookie were to in fact crumble.
Well, again, I did overhear it from someone there. Absolutely battered. What a shock. You know, again, it just tells you that even with so little on the line for some, there are still surprises here in the Global MEGAFist 12. Ruben Von Daunt will fight another day. It effectively relegates Cale Howard, but we are heading to Group B right now. Rear Sergeant Val Gibbs, will he see the same amount of luck against Deputy Snooter Magnum? Our fourth fight of the night. Sergeant Val Gibbs, Deputy Snooter Magnum. Magnum has the 2-inch height and reach advantage in this one. The proud soldier, the proud man of defending our country, taking on the human police dog.
Ready? The bomb and/or drug sniffing man.
Yes, the
Deputy
bomb.
Snooter.
Let's fight!
Yes, the bomb-sniffing, drug-sniffing man.
Sniffing for the presence of not insufflating narcotics in terms of, you know, he's he's such a weird man. It's really unfortunate that a decorated troop such as Rear Sergeant Val Gibbs is not going to be with us in Global MEGAFist 2021. But you know, hopefully he can refocus on the Hyperfist and come back stronger than ever.
Yeah, he would. He does need to win and hope that Beginner Swordhouse loses. However, we're really uncertain how this will go. Again, at the very best that Gibbs can hope for is, again, a survival fight in the finale. But the way he has fought this year, 0-4, it has not been, it is not the Rear Sergeant Val Gibbs who went 3-2 in last year's tournament. We're seeing Magnum is just having his way, going for an armbar submission. And again, I understand that I was talking to Rear Sergeant Val Gibbs, asking why he was having such trouble with the armbar as a submission hold, and he reminded me that it is a Japanese armbar and that he is a proud American.
Perfect.
I just found myself nodding and saluting
Yep.
this proud
tight in there.
defender
Work
of
that wrist
our
control.
freedoms.
Absolutely.
Despite the
He's
fact that
looking-
didn't really make much sense, but he does go for some ground and pound and does catch Magnum on the jaw with a couple of just
Coming up
hammer
on 1 minute,
fists.
baby.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, big reversal
Beautiful.
from Magnum though. But yeah, I was talking a little bit to Rear Sergeant Val Gibbs. He did express
There you go,
some
nice.
disappointment that he was stuck on the Axapathlon all year and could not defend, as he put it, the freedoms from the enemies.
Make him work harder than you.
I wasn't exactly sure which enemies he was specifically referencing.
There it is.
He mentioned something about
Nice,
troop
nice.
technology to shrink him down to fight the virus.
Time.
That
mean,
sounds that sounds very noble. I mean, I can't imagine losing him to that sort of mission, but I imagine the only reason he doesn't really go into any details is it must all be top secret and confidential.
Yeah, I mean, he did explain that, the military budget is,
You swim that
something
off.
that can't be
On the
discussed
ground,
for
you
a
can
reason,
catch him all day long in that
and,
triangle,
just
that
to,
arm. You can catch him all day
try
long,
and, move on from
it all day
what
long.
he had just
You just
said.
gotta go.
Because, as you mentioned, Derek, there are certain things that, the good rear sergeant is maybe not at liberty to say, but he, I think we've all become pretty friendly with him. He's one of the more normal of the competitors here. He's not a weird dog man, that's for sure.
Yes, yeah, I think that's truly. I mean, it's a breath of fresh air. I mean, I couldn't imagine.
He's tired.
You tell me that someone who holds a military rank.
You ready?
Enters the Global MEGAFist 12. I assume, well, there must be some reason
Let's
he's here.
fight.
He must be completely making everything up, or including his rank in the military. And it's nice to see that sort of initial reaction is completely unfounded, Lucille. It's very nice to know that we have a true patriot in our cage, like Rear Sergeant Val Gibbs, who, as you can see, Magnum in the blue, Gibbs in what is, of course, referred to as troop clothes. So I did not realize was the official term for that.
When you're ready,
Yeah, I mean,
explode.
he's explained a couple of times that some of his background has to have been hidden from the public record so as not to endanger people. So, his name might not exactly be Val Gibbs. That's just what he goes by to protect him, his loved ones, and actually all of us by sharing this
Better position.
this floating riverboat.
No doubt. I do think that the nights that I am able to sleep, I do sleep soundly knowing that we have such a proud man and a proud patriot on board with us. And he is really going to town in this fight with Deputy Snooter Magnum.
Yeah, it's a big change from round one where he was mostly defending Magnum's submission attempts. Gibbs is back on the offensive. He's looking for his patented troop grounded pound.
Yeah, which he said he did learn that is a standard military tactic.
You keep going until something opens.
Again, I didn't have any sort of, haven't had internet regularly for me to do any sort of research and study up on troop ground and pound, but he did assure me that all branches of the military, all 7 branches, he said, of the military, do in fact know that, and it is an actual martial art. I believe him, because why wouldn't I?
He said he told me Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders invented it, and he showed
makes sense.
showed me a drawing he had of Teddy Roosevelt punching a bear creature. It was a kind of a funny doodle, but he said that was kind of the invention of troop ground and pound. Teddy Roosevelt in the late 1800s developed this martial arts system for the troops of the Rough Riders.
Well, it has
Now,
served
on
him
the ground, you can catch
fairly
him all day
well
long
so
in that
far
triangle,
in
that
this
arm.
fight,
You can catch him all day long.
as he has been into a ground war for 2 rounds with Deputy
crowd him.
Snooter
Relax. Don't go
Magnum.
for the big hook. Use the
Still
right
a
hand.
win
Hook
for
right hand.
Gibbs.
Get that back. You fight that 2-on-1. If you get that body lock,
finished fight
you gotta
for
fight
Gibbs.
it off. You swim that arm
above
over.
the Guinness Storehouse, who
Swim that
has
arm
to
over.
fight later this evening against JC Switcher. That is actually the next fight after this. Well, we're going to go to the Hyperfist after this. But we do have, there is still an out as he throws a nice elbow. And again, just good control on the ground. That troop ground and pound. That Teddy Roosevelt.
This is the round he's going to break.
Standard.
You hear me? You got to take it to it.
Training.
Gentlemen,
I suppose.
ready?
Well, we go to round
Ready?
3 between Magnum and Gibbs.
Let's fight!
And 4 points still on the line if the fight ends during round 3. A decision would mean 3 points to the winner. And of course, a draw, 1 point apiece.
Beautiful.
But I talked to, we kind of have our fight meetings beforehand, and I talked to Rear Sergeant Val Gibbs about about his upcoming fight with Deputy Steven Magnum. About the dog-like tendencies of this bomb-sniffing man, drug-sniffing man as well.
Don't let those hands go.
And he told me of a story of being airdropped into the jungles. I asked what country. He kept referring to it as the jungles. In fact, when he said, "Oh, jungles," he actually removed the as if that was the name of the country. And how he had to trudge through this very rough terrain, and he said he never saw a single human enemy, but he did in fact have to lay waste to the entire wildlife in his path. When I asked about that sort of mission, I said, well, did it surprise you that there weren't any actual human enemies that you had to fight? And he just looked at me and said, but were there?
Watch for him to grab your legs.
Yeah, absolutely. He's Rear Sergeant Val Gibbs, no animosity towards Deputy Snooter Magnum. He said he respects the man's ability to smell bombs. But Gibbs, big ground and pound comes in from Rear Sergeant.
Yeah, trying to put a finish in. He kind of knows that he needs to do it now. 46 seconds to go, but continue. Yes.
Yeah, he said he is trained to smell enemies from at least 10 miles away. So if Deputy Snooter Magnum is a bomb-sniffing man, then I guess Rear Sergeant Val Gibbs is a man-sniffing man.
There you go.
So long as that man is an enemy.
Him out.
I suppose so. Well, I guess for the 3 rounds of this, although I guess, he is right in front of him in the cage, willing to fight, so I don't know how effective that was.
Oh, gosh.
And that will sadly send, well, it'll be a discharge of the most honorable, full of proper, well-earned valor for Rear Sergeant Val Gibbs, as he will go 0-5 in the group stage. And to be fair, this has been a difficult list of fighters in this group. The lightweight division is so stacked, and good fights all around for Rear Sergeant Val Gibbs, but just could not find the victory. He will have to fight his way through the Hyperfist next year. Deputy Steven Magnum, for the moment,
winner.
he sits in second place. He'll need a little bit of help, but there is still hope for Deputy Steven Magnum. And we will, that shows how close things are here in the Global MEGAFist 12 in Group B. We do have a quick break before our final 2 fights of the evening. It's time to find out who will be replacing. Well, we now know it's Cale Howard and Rear Sergeant Val Gibbs. Which other, we know Chip Crocker will be one. Who will be the other lightweight from the Hyperfist to replace them in next year's tournament? That's happening right now. And here we go, our
Try to get a
first of
takedown
two
if you can.
elimination bouts. Again, this and the next fight
Get him
have
backing
a
up and
tougher
make him
way
pay.
to get there. Both these fighters have lost once already. This is to stay alive and find a spot in our finale in the fight for survival.
There we go.
Preston Groom is the amateur animal wrangler.
Stop. That's it. It's over.
He does get a huge win via knockout over Holden Apocra, the professional public. The low-budget animal wrangler takes the win. On the other side, we have two newcomers.
Hands up,
We
sit down.
have Dusty Shackelford, the exterminator, taking on Simon Dolby, the human film reel, which makes it sound like he's got a lot of highlights. It actually just means that he can have a film screened on his back.
Use the help.
Seems like a very strange profession, but then again, we're
Watch
here
him.
in this
Hands up. Hands up.
man, and I don't
Nice,
really know where to go from there.
Yeah, it's takes all kinds to globally MEGAFist.
Well, it is in fact Dolby who gets the decision victory in that one. Dolby will stay alive in this one. But this is our final. These two fighters who made their way through Hyperfist last year but fell short. Yikes McDonald, the Drive Time radio host, taking on Aldi Albertson, who of course runs his own road grocery store and sells stuff from his own pantry basement. Taking on again the all-night radio DJ. I understand he used to be Drive Time, now in the all-night category. He goes ahead and goes for an armbar. Gets the victory.
All right, stop. Fight's over, guys.
Aldi Albertson, on his second time through, gets the win. And Aldi Albertson joins Chip Crocker in the World Rapids 12 next year for Groom and Dolby. They will battle to fight Yikes McDonald once in future fights for a spot against one of the 5th place fighters from this year's group stages. However, we have so much more still to talk about. Lucille, 2 more fights to go. So much more to talk about with Group B up in the balance. 4 fighters still in contention. 2 of them will make it through to the semifinals. Right now we have the Guinness Swordhouse taking on JC Switcher. And that fight is happening right now. The tail of the tape. JC Switcher has the height and reach advantage. For the love language, I think the Guinness Swordhouse has the advantage. They keep jousting over patience any time when it comes to doing battle. But there are no lances. There's no waiting. The fight happens now.
You ready? Are
Are you ready?
Absolutely. Swordhouse is a stocky,
Let's fight.
wide gentleman. Likes to get his opponents down on the mat, use his weight, amplified by his chainmail shorts, and pound out opponents. Oh, switcher!
But right away. Oh,
His kickboxing is incredible. A lot of highlight reel knockouts on his resume.
yeah. This is of course the first time these two are meeting. Swordhouse finished third place. Fared out. Fell out on a tiebreaker to Trevor Serrano in last year's group stages. Swordhouse is 1-3. He is guaranteed to be in that survival fight at the finale. He will finish 5th regardless, but he wants to go out on a good note. For JC Switcher, he's currently on the outside looking in. A win will put him above Deputy Snooter Magnum and into the semifinals at the moment, and we'll reassess. But for Switcher, it is must win.
That's it.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, Swordhouse doesn't have a great record, but he's always dangerous. He's a tough customer to defeat, and especially it's hard to beat anyone on your back.
No doubt about that. That is certainly well. Swordhouse has that ground and pound advantage. Again, he gives up a lot of reach, so this is really the best way to make use of that, as he takes him out with rather ease. And I'm very surprised by this. Swordhouse has not really been doing much in the tournament this year. He's got a win over Val Gibbs via decision. He has not had his knockout power like he did in last year's tournament.
Down with a good one.
Yeah, it's interesting how people, as we've discussed, in weeks past, how people have, improved or regressed, from last year. Can't take previous results for certain fact that it's going to happen the same way. Of course,
Right.
as you mentioned, these guys have, I believe you said they have not faced each other last year, so completely unknowns for both men. But it is just interesting. A guy like Val Gibbs, a guy like the Guinness Swordhouse, just kind of fallen off from their 2019 campaigns. It's unfortunate.
Don't vary from the game plan.
They're doing basically the same
Don't
thing.
vary
Just
from the game plan.
the competition.
Throwing that Superman punch. We don't need that
sees
bullshit.
it coming
The
a
inside,
little better,
you
I
gotta
guess,
fight your
this
fight.
year.
You gotta
It
take
is
him
very
down.
interesting to see
You gotta
that,
impose your
and
will with your bigger structure. He sets
yeah,
up
we
with
go to
his
the end of the
hands
first
fast.
round, and it's very much one of those things where Switcher has to get his victory. But Swordhouse is, again, fighting for pride at this point. Fighting for momentum. There's some tough opponents in this group. We have Valentine, Switcher, Rob Lynn, and of course, not to say anything less of Snooter Magnum and Val Gibbs. So Swordhouse, I think the competition in this group was just a little bit higher than it was last year. Swordhouse, his wins last year over Cale Howard, Zeke Apnea, and Vern Wintergreen. So he is not the only fighter that he has faced last year that he faced again this year is Rob Lynn. Rob Lynn knocked him out in the first round last year. This year it was a bit more of a battle, but it's still a second round loss to Lynn. So this is very much a stacked Group B. It's kind of one of those things where we're amazed that someone is going to have to miss out on the semifinals when you have Valentine, Switcher, Lynn, and now we've added Snooter Magnum to the mix.
Oh, absolutely. It's big. Oh my God! Wow.
That's it. It's over. It's over.
Devastating shots from Switcher.
What a knockout!
I was about to mention Swordhouse's eye was swollen up at the end of that first round, and he did not see that hook that clipped him on the top of the head.
Wow, that is. You are not wrong. I think when the eye starts to swell shut, it's harder to see some of those punches coming. And I think that first right hook kind of came around, caught him right on the ear, got him a little equilibrium off, and then right on the temple.
Doubled up on right hooks, and that was it for
call that
So the Guinness Courthouse.
Yeah, I think in boxing they'll call that a check hook. And I think that was maybe a price check hook for JC Switcher, the department store living mannequin, who has now put himself in first place in Group B with our main event to go. So Deputy Snooter Magnum will drop out of the top two. In the Guinness Swordhouse, he will meet a Hyper Fist fighter in the finale. But this is what it all comes down to. One fight left in all of the group stages here in the Global MEGAFist 12 in 2020. Valentine and Lynn. That fight is happening right now. It is as simple as this. One of these two fighters will join JC Switcher in the semifinals. If Rob Lynn wins this fight by finishing it before the end of the final round, it will be Rob Lynn going forward with JC Switcher. If Charlie Valentine wins, he will go top of the group along with JC Switcher.
Let's go, guys. Fight.
A decision victory for Rob Lynn is not enough. It will put Valentine in second place with a point advantage. These two are doing battle for the very first time. They were in opposite groups last year.
That's it.
And you got to feel that this is, this is kind of where things were left last year. Charlie Valentine missed out on the semifinals in the last fight of the group stage.
There you go, nice.
He lost a decision to JC Switcher.
Wow, that's it's going to be interesting if Valentine is thinking about that, if he knows that as long as he doesn't get finished, he's safe, or if he's just going to focus on beating the hell out of Rob Lynn and cementing it himself in first place, regardless of any other point breakdowns.
I think, to be fair, I think you can do both. I think you can fight. I think you can fight somewhere in the middle and be successful, knowing that those are your outs for Valentine. That you can fight a cautious fight, but also go for a victory when you see the opportunity. You're just not going to go for literally every chance you get, especially against someone like Rob Lynn, who granted has one loss on his record this year, but last year he went 5-0, getting 26 points from a possible 30. The man knows how to knock people out. And he was doing that round after round. 2 wins in the first round. 1 third-round knockout and a couple of TKOs in the second round. Lynn knows how to do it. He's just been taking a little bit more time this year to do it. He hasn't been getting those first-round knockouts that we're accustomed to seeing.
First the hands, there you go.
Yeah, it's I've heard a few of the fighters complain that being on a riverboat that is on the water has maybe some degree of effect of both standing and ground and pound knockouts. You know,
Yeah, fair.
the roll of the water. Even it's not an ocean with big movement, but it's enough of a cushion to, you know, keep things.
Time, guys.
You know, the impact a little lighter, and that's why, you know, we've seen a lot of people break out the submissions this year. I think maybe a little more than last year, and that might be part of it. That you know, the knockouts are a little harder to come by on the water.
It is an interesting theory. Yeah, I think that's something to say about that. You know, again, we may not be on the ocean, but you know what, we might be. I don't know anymore. I don't know. Anytime I'm actually outside is just usually my head is looking at the ground because of abject global galactic-sized depression. That being said, we could be on the ocean. Anytime I look out anything resembling a window or to the outside, I see dreary blackness. I don't know where we are at any point.
Are you ready?
I mean, sometimes I'll stick my head out a window to barf up way too much buffet food.
Yes.
But I'm not really paying attention to the environment, so yeah, it could be in the ocean. We could be in a crater of some sorts. We could be on the moon for all I know. It's unknowable, honestly. Or at least if it's knowable, it's not been told to us where we are.
No, and I've been every once in a while I stare at my cell phone while trying to reserve battery and life and everything like that. Of course, we do, I do have a way to charge it, but you know, I don't get much with the don't get much reception, so we really can't find out. There's no sort of GPS working.
Yeah,
That being said, yeah.
Mel Gibbs likes to say it's a need-to-know basis, and we don't need to know where we are.
Yeah, I would like to, but apparently we don't need to. We do like to wonder if we are forgotten. We'd like to know that we're not forgotten by most glorious and honorable Mr. Naga.
Try to get a takedown if you can.
I haven't even heard from Michael Oleander. Not that I would know how to, unless he flew a banner plane somewhere. But again, that would require finding us, and that would require us not instinctively looking at the ground in dejection. Actually looking up into the sky. I have not heard or seen any sort of sign from any of them. I know that food still gets delivered to keep us alive, which gives me hope that we are not forgotten. There's some sort of weird, sick, twisted experiment. I don't know, but we have...
Coming up on 1 minute, baby.
I don't know if being forgotten is actually the worst outcome in this situation. This has been abject hell.
Yeah, these guys are a big suplex takedown from Charlie Valentine. That was impressive.
Yeah, the Oklahoma Cupid, the matchmaker by profession, just uses his weight and his upper body strength to roll with maybe even the motion of the ocean, using that to an advantage and get Canada's best pickpocket down on the ground, but not for very long, as Rob Lynn, covered in blood. Gotta wonder if it looks like a little bit of his own and some of Valentine's. We head to a third round, and I gotta say, Valentine is fighting a very smart fight. Rob Lynn looks a little frustrated.
Okay, keep him busy.
Yeah, it's been very close quarters, which you know, that might be something that Rob Lynn appreciates in his professional life, getting in close, picking up objects, but he really likes to operate at distance when it comes to MMA. You know, he's a much better striker than he is a grappler. We've seen over the course of 2019 and 2020.
Yes, very quick movement. Move in, do what you need to do, and get out of there. That is the nature of the pickpocket. And it's a good strategy for striking when you have the length and the reach that Rob Lynn tends to have.
I want 4s and 5s with the punches.
He's a very
now,
lanky
right?
fighter. He's not very big as far as size goes, but he's got the long reach in those long arms and long legs.
Let's go, guys. Fight.
We got 5 minutes.
You do not want to keep any valuables on you when you are near him. I keep most of mine, whatever I have with me, locked in my room, but then again, so am I. I don't usually go up on deck these days unless I'm on my way to the fights, or from the fights, or to or from the buffet.
Yeah, it's much better that way. Because I'll be honest, the first couple of weeks on the Axapadlin, I would, be out on deck quite a bit. But then when I realized we weren't getting off the Axapadlin anytime soon, the outside world just seemed to be mocking me with its endless wonder and possibilities of being not the Axapadlin. So I stopped.
Yeah, I think that's kind of we're all at that point right now. Well, for Rob Lynn, he is reaching, well, we don't know when the end of our journey will truly be. We do know that the end of the Global MEGAFist 12 for Rob Lynn does depend on the final minute and a half. Goes for an uppercut, but Valentine just slides out of the way. And again, credit to Valentine. He could have just easily kind of duck and run. He has brought the fight to Lynn and has done quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder if part of that is, he might want to solidify himself in the #1 spot and not have to face the other group stages top-ranked guy in the semifinals.
Walter Birch. But then again, you have Miroslav Florislava in second place. So you kind of have to accept the fact that you will be fighting somebody of imminent danger and high caliber. Yeah. In the semifinals. That, of course, will be in November. We cannot wait to bring you that. 40 seconds to go, and where they are right now is not where Rob Lynn wants it. It is on the ground. And, well, he's trying to work some ground and pound. He passes to a half guard, but I think standing up is the best option, and Valentine is keeping this fight on the ground and takes the top position. This is not looking good for Lynn. This is very, very unfortunate to see such a drop in Rob Lynn. It's a shame. This is one of those cases where even if he were to get a decision win, I don't know how this would play out. He would have 15 points and would be 4-1. If he were to win this, he takes the top position. It looks like it's not going to be enough. It is all over.
Fight's over.
In this main event, and it is all over for Rob Lynn, win or lose. And the cruel, cruel twist of fate that he could potentially be going 4-1 and missing out on the semifinals. 3 points are the maximum for Rob Lynn. He will not be going to the semifinals this year. It will be Charlie Valentine, but in what order? A decision victory for Charlie Valentine puts him in first place. A loss puts him in second. It is a very close fight, I would say. Valentine might have even dominated it on the ground, I must say. He got some good submissions, but he got some good takedowns. I don't think he was rocked too hard, but it's all in the eyes of the judges. We'll see how they give it. Looks like they have a winner. And it's Rob Lynn. Well, he gets a good win in the column, but yes, you're saying.
That's I guess bittersweet because it does nothing for him for the rest of 2020. It's I guess a little bit of good momentum to build on for 2021, but just unfortunate that he couldn't get another point or two in earlier fights to push him over the edge.
Yeah, that is the cruel twist of fate. Well, it has been quite the night of fights. We're going to recap them for you. Our first 3 fights were Group A. Big upset. That's actually an incorrect graphic. The upset came as Miroslav Florislava was TKO'd by Ruben Fondant in the first round, saving him from ultimately from immediate relegation. Walter Birch got a win. Trevor Sereno with a TKO in the third round over Zeke Apnea puts Cale Howard in last place, and that is how it shakes up. Walter Birch in first, Florislava in second. For Sereno and Apnea, they will look towards 2021. Ruben Fondant has a fight against a yet-to-be-named opponent at the finale. Well, they will fight for their spot in next year's tournament. And for Cale Howard, the Hyper Fist awaits him. Meanwhile, in Group B, Rob Lynn with the decision victory, JC Switcher a second-round knockout, and Deputy Snooter Magnum a third-round submission. And that is how that plays out. It does not get any closer than that at the top of the table, Lucille. That is brutal. That is hard to look at for someone like Rob Lynn. Beginning Swordhouse, again, just like Ruben Fondant, will fight a yet-to-be determined opponent at the finale in a fight for survival for Rear Sergeant Val Gibbs. It is to the Hyper Fist with him as well, as Gibbs and Howard are replaced by Chip Crocker and Aldi Albertson. What a heartbreaking finish for Rob Lynn.
Yeah, absolutely, Derek. It's a hard pill to swallow. Hopefully this leads to a more motivated Rob Lynn, who returns to his heavy-handed ways next year, and just, really puts the divisions or the whatever state group he ends up being relegated or drafted to, I guess, on notice, and just he has been a devastating fighter, and for it to end like that with a win, 4-1, but just not enough points, it is devastating. But that is the nature of the Global MEGAFist 12.
It'll be a wake up to Rob Lynn of what he needs to do in order to maintain a spot in the top 2. But what it does tell us is that we now have our semi-finals are in fact set. Let's take a look and run this down. Heavyweights on the top line, Wanderin Mo Volt taking on Dr. Igor Tonic, Oliver Lehman, and handsome Jeff Perkins. I mean, we've got Tonic and that's going to be great. Perkins started so strong.
Yeah. I mean, and a Hyper Fist guy coming in, just he had a little bit of a struggle towards the end of the run, but he still looked dominant. If he could get Lehman to the ground, it's going to be tough. But Lehman, I mean, just that is a man that you do not want to stand up against for any amount of time.
No doubt.
If handsome Jeff isn't shooting the moment the fight begins, he's going to have to rethink his strategy pretty quick.
Yeah, Lehman, the only undefeated heavyweight so far. Tonic, of course, cannot forget Dr. Igor Tonic, the 2019 tournament champion. 2 wins away. Could we be setting up a Tonic-Lehman rematch yet again? We'll have to find out. For the middleweights, the Ezekiel Subset Alpha takes on Ed Picayune in, get this, a rematch from the Hyper Fist in 2019. These are the 2 Hyper Fist qualifiers. Picayune got the win via decision over Ezekiel. Ezekiel looking to get some revenge in that one. Meanwhile, Leon Pagliacci takes on the man who comes in on the last possible chance, Chet Lama. It'll be a very interesting semifinals in the middleweight division.
Yeah, Pagliacci, I believe, the undefeated middleweight fighter.
Correct.
And yeah, like I said, Lama just on the last day for the middleweights submitted Ezekiel Subset Alpha in the first round to get himself enough points to come up and get this fight against Pagliacci. I mean, I'm looking at these 4 guys. Any combination of finals is going to be outstanding. Yeah, but Ezekiel versus Picayune, that's going to be a good rematch. I mean, there was a point when Picayune was the only man to have ever bested Ezekiel Subset Alpha. He does have that one loss to Lama earlier this month, but that's going to be a good rematch. Ezekiel and Picayune is one to circle for the middleweights.
It sure is, and Pagliacci and Lama did battle in 2019 as well. Pagliacci was the winner there. Well, of course, we'll talk about that next time. But we want to talk about some fresh, brand new battles. Well, these 2 lightweight semifinals at the bottom of your screen are first time fights for all 4 men. Walter Birch surging through the Hyper Fist all the way through the group stage. He is the sole undefeated lightweight. Takes on Charlie Valentine, who has finally found himself in the semifinals after just barely missing out last year. He's got a tough customer in Walter Birch. And JC Switcher Miroslav Florislava that somehow evaded us as a finals. Last year, Florislava lost in the semifinals, but Switcher, the defending champion, looking to go 2 years in a row. I mean, what can we say about the semifinals in the lightweight that doesn't get you any more excited than just reading off their names?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Birch has looked unstoppable. 5-0, 27 out of a possible 30 points. That guy is dangerous. And Valentine, he got through kind of on the skin of his teeth. He edged it out just barely on the points. He's gonna have a tough fight against Birch. Switcher and Florislava. I'm glad we're finally getting that one, because that was something I was looking forward to last year. I'm glad we're getting it this year in the semifinals.
Yes, Switcher sort of came up on us unawares last year. We were kind of almost expecting Rob Lynn out of that group, but Switcher just pulled the wool over everyone's eyes. Oh, I take it back. You know what? I take it back. We actually did have that fight. As far back as the second fight of last year's group stage. I take it back. That has happened before. I'm my mistake on that one. And it was a decision. It went to a decision. Miroslav Florislava got the win. But I can't imagine those two are going to go to a decision this time. I think they have the finishing capability. And again, for guys like Switcher and Valentine, they have easily been battle-tested this year. They have gone through a murderer's row, so to speak, of names in Group B. So it should be very interesting. That will all take place in a couple weeks' time, November 23rd. That Monday will be the semifinals, with the finals awaiting in December. Fans, that has been it for tonight. We thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the Global MEGAFist 12. My name is Derek Osceola. This has been Lucille Cramblecorn. We're going to go cry ourselves to sleep and try to think about the sadness that bears down on us every day on this godforsaken ship. I certainly hope someone is hearing this and can send some rescue, or at least some sort of message as to when we will be getting off the Atzapadalin. But until then, we are broadcasting live from the Atzapadalin at a location that we no longer know. Thank you for watching the Global MEGAFist 12. We will see you again next time.